This 25-foot bed generates $1,500 per season. This 25-acre farm barely breaks even. Today, I'm breaking down the high-efficiency system that turns small plots into cash flow machines. And spoiler, it requires less crops than you think. I'm Diego, D-I-E-G-O, and I make videos to help small farms become more profitable. Because at the end of the day, we're not growing vegetables, we're growing value. Let's get into it. Here's what Curtis discovered after 5 years of obsessive data tracking.
I've never really seen a standard bed unit, like a 25-foot by 30-inch bed. I've never really seen one bed produce more than, say, $1,500 in a season.
He knows to the dollar what every square foot is worth, and that's his edge. A traditional farm might gross between $3,000 and $8,000 annually. Curtis is generating over $43,000 per equivalent acre. That's not a typo. Let's break down how.
So I have benchmarks. If I'm meeting those benchmarks consistently, I guess it seems like, yes, this is pretty peak. It's pretty maxed out.
Curtis doesn't just rotate crops. He runs 2 speeds of production, fast and focused.
In my book and my lectures and courses, I talk about how I have high rotation and bi-rotation plots. And so it's high rotation, so meaning that each bed will get rotated at least 4 times in a season.
So, should you grow $400 of tomatoes or 4 rounds of $300 lettuce? The math might surprise you. That same bed growing lettuce 4 times, $1,200. Triple the tomatoes. His most productive land, not a field, not even a greenhouse. It's his north-facing shaded front yard.
My front yard at my house, which is only 1,100 square feet, so it's a relatively small plot compared to others. And it's also on the north side of my house, so on the shoulder season, only half of it gets light. But what I've done at this plot this year is it's in high rotations.
And what he grows isn't just filler, it's high-value herbs and market favorites.
I do these really small beds, like I'll do 6-foot beds to 12-foot beds, just little chunks. And so my front yard looks like a little bit of a checkerboard in a way. So crops that I don't want to grow a lot of, but I want to grow some of just to have as a variety to offer. Things like herbs, say cut cilantro, cut parsley, spring onions, auxiliary greens. I call auxiliary greens anything that's like a green that goes in my salad mix that's not the base of a mix, but it's part of it. So like baby beet greens or mizuna or things like this.
Regular lettuce, $2 a pound. His specialty salad mix grown in his front yard, $12 a pound. Same growing time, 6 times the revenue. But just when you thought short season crops are the key to profits, Curtis dropped a tomato bombshell.
Our tomato production this year is unbelievably, it's insane. We've definitely had a hot summer. We're producing now 300 pounds of tomatoes a week. 200 and 300 pounds of tomatoes a week. That's insane. I've never had that kind of production this time of the year.
He's even outperforming greenhouse growers.
It's been hot here, and I've got other farmer friends, like not even half a mile from me, growing tomatoes in greenhouses, even doing, to some extent, similar hard pruning techniques to us. And we're 2 weeks ahead of everybody. Roger, my neighbor, my tomato guy, who's a master tomato grower, his wizardry with tomatoes and his hard pruning techniques have dramatically increased our production. Like, I'm talking dramatically.
300 pounds a week at $4 a pound, that's over $1,200 on tomatoes alone. How does he manage this with just 2 people working part-time hours?
If all I had to do was work on my farm right now, we could easily do it with just 2 people, myself and one other person. And we could probably do it at 30 hours a week each.
Most farms run on chaos. His runs on checklists.
One thing that's great about right now is that I've been really able to organize and plan better when I'm not in the field for 8 hours a day or more. I'm able to come inside, go on my computer, look at the spreadsheets, look what needs to be done, organize our tasks, really make methodical lists. Like every single day is plotted out. Having clear objectives every day really makes things run smoother because then there's no scrambling. There's no, oh, what should we do next?
To make more money, Curtis started growing fewer crops. If a crop brings in less than $1,000 a year, why bother?
Yeah, I definitely want to get rid of a couple crops for sure. It's just looking at the numbers, like, why do I grow this? Like, we sell $1,000 of it a year. What's the point? Like, it really boiled down things. And that makes it so much easier in the production sense too, because we had one year around 90 crops. And it's a lot to manage, especially when you're looking at planting dates and you're planning your farm, and it makes things unnecessarily complicated. Look at your customer data. One thing we did one year in our CSA that was really great, we surveyed all of our members. The data was incredibly valuable. We would discover that, like for head lettuce, most people just wanted romaine. They wanted romaine heads. And we're like, oh, that's easy. Why are we growing all these other head lettuces?
Here's how to put Curtis's system to work on your farm.
So that's really important, is having standards in the way things are done and then communicating the data on the details of it. So for example, I have a little tote. It's just a little clear plastic tote. And when you lift the lid up on it, it has a laminated sheet in there that has the spacing and density and prospective yields of all the crops that we grow.
But it goes deeper than just data.
You need to have these methods as far as how many rows do I plant in an arugula bed? What spacing is kale transplanted at? Things like that. What I can do is take a person through the reason behind the thinking. And that's the thing that I really focus on now, and I'm training people, is to understand the thought process.
Your 5-step implementation. 1. Calculate your current revenue per bed. 2. Identify fast versus focused crops. 3. Design your test plot. 4. Track everything. 5. Scale what works.
You get your systems down, but you don't have to work 80 hours a week forever to take on this lifestyle. And I guess if you are, you're maybe doing something wrong.
You're absolutely doing something wrong. And most farmers are doing a lot of things wrong. Like, they don't pay attention to systems. They don't really crunch the numbers. They just think, oh, I'm just going to plant a bunch of stuff and hope it sells. And we've talked about that before too. That's just a recipe for self-destruction.
It's not just your acreage, it's your approach. What do you think of this approach? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.